Alexandra. Welcome,
So it's very
Alexandra
nice
Schilling.
meeting you. Hi,
And
thank you.
Alexandra Schilling is running for Republican Party of Texas Vice Chair. And so, Alexandra, we've got a different types of questions. We only have two that are policy related. But this interview
Okay.
is intended to give people an insights into who you are and the things that matter most to you. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer these questions. They are not timed, but we're some of the questions are short answer, and I will tell you what those are. And we have lost your picture again.
Okay. Yeah. I'm so very sorry. If it happens again, I'm just going to go and hardwire to the modem already. So
Okay. All right. I see you
okay,
now.
is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, did you hear what I was saying as I was giving you an overview of the questions?
Well, I heard you say that there's basically two questions that are policy related, um, and that was it. Kind of dropped off after that. So,
Yes. And so the rest of
but that yeah.
okay, the rest of the questions are designed to give you an opportunity to tell the folks who you are, what matters most to you, and to give them an insight into your experience, into your character. So the first is an opener.
Okay.
Please identify the character qualities, the core beliefs, and the experience that makes you the right choice for vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas.
Well, I am a mom first and foremost, and I think, and I'm a mom to two teens. That's my proudest. I always say I'm a mom first. I'm a political enthusiast second, and and so anyway, I've got a 12 and a 14-year old, and so they were at that ripe age when COVID started, when I really saw the effect it had on them at a young age, and that woke me up. But I was raised a farmer's daughter, so I've got very strong rural background. Um, I was always raised to work hard work ethic, and of course raised in the church, and still still go to church, same church I was born and raised in, and and just very principled. And I went through a moment in my life where when I was younger that I maybe made some not so good decisions, and a lot of people wouldn't talk about that because they're ashamed of it, but I like to bring it up because it's given me a different perspective. I'm able I'm I'm able to get on a certain level with people. Um, and I think that gives me a little bit different perspective on things. So I was saved. Saved more than once. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So where can the job description for the Republican Party of Texas Vice Chair be found? And would you please give us your understanding of a couple of those very top official duties?
Sure. So the job description is within the SREC bylaws, which is on the RPT website. And of course, it's just a very, compared to the state chair description, it's very short. It's I'm pretty sure maybe two sentences, but I think it's just one. Um, and it's just basically to support the chair and his duties. Um, and then of course your ex officio of the committees and whatnot. And what was the follow up question? That was the second part
Oh,
to that
that
question.
was it. That was it. Just what your understanding is
Oh,
of
okay.
those official duties, and if you have any,
Yeah,
if you have a couple of things to say about how you would go about conducting that service if you're elected,
sure,
you may go ahead and add those now.
sure. Well, I do want to say that I have pledged to work with, and I'm able to work with whomever is elected as chair. Um, and my view on the vice chair role, um, I think that I think that it's such a big job within itself, being able to to support the chair and his duties. Um, so I wouldn't be the looking for someone to vote for that's going to take on a special project. I'm not the person. I mean, if the chair wants to delegate a special project or what have you, but I think in the past there's with vice chairs there's been too many instances where special projects have maybe bogged them bogged them down, or I just think it's important to let the chair lead, and as long as you're as vice chair or standing on principle, go wherever he wants you to go and do whatever he needs you to do, and truly be his support.
Okay. All right. Where can you find the best indicator of what the Texas Republican Party base believes about key issues? And how do you believe the Republican Party can best demonstrate to its voter base that they've been heard? And how would you help lead in that effort?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So when you said where do you go, like where do you just platform um, on the RPT website and whatnot, or
Yes, to your knowledge, where's the best, where can you find what uh, the most current indicator of what voters, Republican base voters, think about key issues?
well, if you're talking about the actual voters instead of the delegates, of course, it would be how they voted on the on the most recent propositions, how that vote turnout went. That's
Okay,
honestly the best key indicator,
okay. And how
in
do
my
you
opinion.
believe, okay, so how do you believe the Republican Party should take what the voters said about those propositions? Do you think that that is a way that should shape the Republican agenda?
To be honest with you, to be honest with you, I that's a answer. That's a question that I can't answer right now. And the reason I can't answer it is because we do have open primaries, and I think so. I think if when you're looking at the propositions that have been voted on, I think that's I just I don't know if that's really the best way. Um, and when you look at that, compare it to the blood, sweat, and tears that the delegates put in, testifying and within the committee hearings and whatnot, um, it's two different things. It really is. So I think it's our duty to go by go by what comes out of convention as the official legislative priorities, um, and the platform, if there's any updates to it and whatnot. I think that is important. Um, but then, of course, it's also important what the actual voting, the voters say also. So I'm honestly 50-50 on that right now for obvious reasons that that I
Okay, well,
indicated.
so
So
Alexandria, let me ask you this. Are you aware of where those ballot propositions come from? Do you know that the SREC puts those together?
hmm
So they actually come from the Senate
yes, yeah,
districts. Oh, okay, okay.
right,
All
right,
right.
right, right, yeah.
So next question. Current party rules allow for the SREC to censure a Republican office holder who violates the party's core principles. Do you think we should have this rule? Why or why not?
I'm back. Okay,
Okay, do I need to repeat the
sorry.
question?
Yeah, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. Current party rules allow for the SREC to censure a Republican office holder that violates the party's core principles. Do you think we should have this Rule 44? Why or why not?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think the rule needs more teeth.
Okay. Okay.
I think we can do some more work on it.
Okay. What are some examples of actions that you believe represent clear violations of the party's core principles that would provoke a censure?
Well, depending on on the on the on the office that we're talking about, um, but overall, it's if they, for instance, if they vote on a border security bill and the representative votes no, strike one. Um, if they if they um, I'm trying to think of some other ones. If they choose to ignore, not to take up the rule, to when the in the um, in the last legislative session, when you know everybody, we should have been able to ban Democratic chairs. That should have happened. And in my opinion, when I think there were only five that stood, 4 or 5 that stood and tried to sign on to that rule. And every single Republican representative that didn't sign on to that rule should have gotten a strike on towards the censor, in my opinion. So yes, I'm very, very, very much, yeah, get it done.
Okay. If you are elected vice chair, what would be the tangible metrics that Republicans should use to determine if you have been successful in your job?
Um, well, I I think that it's important that all of the areas in Texas, all of the SDs, all the counties, know that they're given equal attention and and whatnot. So if for some if I am elected and something were to happen and I wasn't giving them equal attention, then fire me. Yes, by all means. I think that's one thing, and not standing on principle. Of course, if I were to forsake my principle for the almighty dollar, kick me out. I would never do that, but yeah.
Okay. If you're elected vice chair, what percentage of the party's annual budget would you like to see come from small dollar donations of $100 or less? And what do you think the party would need to do in order to increase those small dollar donations from the grassroots?
It's funny that you ask that because my campaign is actually, um, I'm basing it on small dollar donations. I have pledged not to accept, any big major PAC money and what have you, and so I'm learning what it takes to to build up those, and it really is. Keeping in constant contact, letting them letting them know that you're there and you care, and why you're reaching out to them, and where their money is going, and just more communication in general.
Okay. Do you have any idea about what percentage you think would be a healthy amount, percentage of the overall annual budget should come from the grassroots?
I mean, I would, in a perfect world, I would love to see 100%, but I know we don't live in a perfect world. So, the higher the better, in
Okay.
my opinion, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Alexandra, there is a perception that party officials must place value on the opinions of high dollar donors over the identified priorities of Republican primary voters and those of the convention delegates who serve to represent the interests back home. Do you believe that this is an accurate perception, and why or why not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because you're not serving, you're not standing on principle, you're not serving God, you're not walking God's path. You're 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 serving the dollar. And that's what's wrong with politics in general, in my opinion, right now.
Okay. And the next two questions are policy type questions. Do you support legalizing casino or online sports gambling in Texas? And why or why not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because, well, it's part of the platform that of course, we we oppose, gambling. But also because it's just, look at the states where it is legalized, and look at where they are now. It's just, it's a gateway of, and then, increased drug problem. And we have by far enough to deal with. So you got to draw the line somewhere. For
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Do you support legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana for any use in Texas? And why or why not?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. Have you ever testified at a legislative hearing? And if you have, can you recall when it was, what legislative session, and on what topics you testified?
Well, during the 87th and the 88th, I didn't I actually didn't go and testify, but what I did was I was constantly in the comments, um, and leaving comments, and I've gotten to the point where I'm very good, or I feel I'm very good anyway, at using social media to communicate with the general voting base as to what's going on. And so I would be at home watching different hearings, or, if they were about to close out the public comments, and I would post on, Facebook, or X, Twitter, what have you, would give the link, and I'd tell what was happening, and so that's kind of been my that's been that's where I've been most effective. And when it comes, the what sticks out to me the most, what legislation was during the 87th. when the when they came back, well, it was after the Democrats went to D.C. and broke quorum and all that. So I think it was the third special session, um, and it was the Senate bill, the election integrity bill. It was Brian Hughes' bill, and it was a great election integrity bill. It had protections for poll workers and all the above. And so I submitted comments beforehand, before it came over to the House committee, that I supported it. Well, I don't know if you remember this or not, but Andrew Murd in the House committee did the opening for the bill, and they did an old switcheroo, and he substituted his old HB3 from the first session, and it was completely different. So a lot of people didn't realize that it wasn't the fantastic build that it was when it was still in the Senate, and so yeah, that's what sticks out to me the most.
Okay, thank you. Please describe specific ways that you have actively supported the work of the conservative grassroots movement.
How I've actively supported, well, I'm I'm raising two kids to be strong leaders, to be principled leaders. I think that the answer is within our youth, because the Democrats, they train them when they're young, and we've got to start including our young in whether it's events or what have you. But and I did serve as a precinct chair. I was in Fort Bend County during COVID, and then I moved back here to Colorado County. But while I was in Fort Bend, I did serve as a precinct chair. Um, and in the 2022 convention, I ran for SREC. Um, I was in SD 18 at the time, and my entire goal was, whether I won or not, I just wanted the Senate district to have better representation, have the rural counties have better representation. And I didn't win the race, but I got them better representation, so I won in the end. So
Okay. Okay. So Alexandra, now we got a few questions that will give us some insights into how you make decisions. So, what would you describe your
yeah,
management style as, or could you tell us how you influence and persuade others to work with you?
um, by everyone has everyone has something. The person next to me may be better at reading tons of information and taking it in, than I am. And everybody has a niche, I guess you could say. And it's all about finding finding that each, each individual's strength, and you know and encouraging them, and and delegating correctly and whatnot. I'm definitely not a micromanager. I'm far from a micromanager. So but yeah, I think it's all about finding those individual strengths and encouraging.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Think about a conflict that you've had in your life, or one of those fork in the road experiences that maybe was a painful experience or even had a long lasting impact. What shaped your decision making and your actions during that uh, part of your life? And how does that experience inform your decision making today?
My faith in God, and my faith that the faith that no matter what happens, no matter how long it may take, good will always triumph over evil, as long as you don't give up. Good will always win. It's just just the natural order of things. It's just how it was supposed to be, just how it is. um, and it's, yeah, as I mentioned before, I went through a time in my life where I had to dig out, and it's humbled me a great deal. Appreciate the little things way more, way more than I did before. So yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Um, so, if you consider the state of our state and the state of our nation with all the serious challenges we have in front of us every day, could you cite what you believe are the two biggest challenges for Texas and how you would help the party lead on those issues?
Well, so when you said Texas as a whole, not necessarily party, but just Texas as a whole. Okay. Um, there is so much division, um, and it's it's based on, sensationalized media or clickbait, or whatever it is. Um, and I think that the way to solve that is getting into, communicating communicating with the people, um, because I'm friends with lifelong Democrats, and we can hear each other out, and they can hear me out, and I've even changed a few of their minds, I'm proud to say. But I think everybody everybody has a basic human desire to just feel like somebody hears them, feel heard. And I think that once they Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can't see you.
Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll know to just hardwire next time. It's hold on. So I'm it says that I'm up.
Okay, well, we see you and I hear you. Okay, so where we left
Okay.
off is
Okay.
you were
All right. Yeah.
where we left off is you were saying that you believe that everybody deserves a chance to be heard, and that you've been able to convince some of the lifelong Democrats you
Yeah.
know to change. So finish that thought if you would.
Yeah. Well, it's just we all have a desire to want to need to for people to hear us out and to slow down, and if people, if you just stop and listen to what people have to say, they'll be a lot more receptive of what you have to say, and they'll know that they matter. And so I think, yeah, it's just turn off the TV, turn off the media, and get out in your communities and talk. So
Okay, okay, thank you. So, Alexandra, what character qualities do you value most in your relationships?
um integrity, integrity, honesty, um uh, standing by your word, court, which is part of having integrity.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not. Of course, we have freedom of religion and whatnot, and not everybody is going to be of the same faith. But but it and and I have friends of various religions, but of course, it's, I can easily relate to people that are strong in their, in their Christian faith. I can relate to them. So
Okay. Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the Republican Party of Texas extending opportunities for sponsorship of the convention or booth space for organizations whose stated mission is in violation of the Republican Party of Texas platform?
yeah, that's an issue. Um, but and I agree that they shouldn't be given space. They shouldn't be given booths or allowed sponsorship into at the convention. But furthermore, I think where the really bigger issue lies is for example, log cabin Republicans. You have you have people that candidates that accept money from them, and so I can understand why they, if they have Republican candidates that take money from them, of course then they're going to expect a seat at the table. So it's like how do we it's how do we solve that issue? And I don't have the answers to that, but I'm all ears, and I think that that's where we need to take care of that at.
Okay. Thank you. So, while cultural Marxism has been on the rise in our country for many decades, the COVID shutdown pulled back the cover and allowed more and more people to begin to see the threat that it is to children and future generations. What do you believe are a couple of things that the Republican Party of Texas could do better to help protect children?
Bring those kids in. Bring those kids in. As I said before, the Democrat Party starts them young, and there's there's absolutely no reason that we shouldn't be having more family oriented events. Where kids come. For instance, I take I take my kids with me to. I, they're going to go with me to the convention. Granted, they're not going to necessarily go to all of the meetings and whatnot, but and they with me to vote. It's tradition. I take them with me to vote, and so I think the answer is yes within our.
I can see her microphone, but I don't see her or anything happening.
Okay, Alexandra, we can't see you or hear you.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, you were
I'm sorry. Can
uh,
yeah.
okay, now we can see you again. Okay, so you were talking about
Okay.
how the party could do a better job or things it could do to help us protect children. So you were talking about the need to bring young people into the
Mhm.
party, and you were telling us how you traditionally take your kids to vote and how they'll be at the convention with you. So finish those thoughts.
Yeah. Important that we have more family oriented events. I would even my dream one day when I have the extra time, like a vacation Bible school during the summer for younger kids. I would love to do a vacation constitutional camp where you bring them in for a week and maybe at the local church and have them and just go over the parts of the Constitution. Don't even necessarily. It's not a Republican or Democrat thing. Just let them know their rights. Um, I think that's so important.
Okay. Thank you. As you know, in the introductory section preamble of the Republican Party of Texas platform, there are identified principles for the party from which
Hmm.
all platform items and all policy issues should come from that
Hmm.
structural basis. So, could you identify a couple of those principles for us?
Um, well, of course, the first one is the the law of God and the and nature of God. Um, that everything is based on the law of God. And then of course the that limited government and uh, the everything within the Texas and United States Constitution. Um, uh, let's see. I'm trying to think. I know I named a couple, but I'm trying to impress you by naming a few more. um, let's see. Oh, of course. Protection of life. Um, yeah.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, now we are at the part of the interview where Alexandra, you get to close the deal with the folks that are going to watch the video. The delegates and any alternates that might end up being seated at the convention. And in these, and it's not timed, you can take the next uh, up to 10 minutes if you wanted to close the deal. And this is your chance to raise any issues that I haven't asked you about that you think need to be addressed. You can share any passion that you have, any pet peeve about, I don't know, how you've been treated in the party, how you think the party's uh, its public perception by people that you know. Anything that you want to share with the delegates and any solutions that you have that you would want them to inform them about.
Okay. Okay. So you want me to start that now?
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So we've got we've got a great party platform. We've got a great we've we've our everything is where it needs to be. We need to work on rule enforcement, in my opinion. Um, we have a lot of delegates that have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into testifying within the rules committee and whatnot, and creating those rules. And what good are rules if we do not follow them or have any way to follow them? Um, so let's hunker down. Let's get that done. And also, so many people are getting pretty tired of. I think it's safe to say there's the two major players within Texas as far as the donors go. Um, and I'm not, everybody knows who they are. I'm not going to point them out or say them. But it's like being, from my opinion, it's like a constant game of tennis going back and forth, back and forth. One makes a shot at the other, and other makes, and it's like, okay, let's take this back to the grassroots. Let's give the party back to the grassroots. We appreciate our donors. We appreciate everything that they do, but but let's let's work together. It doesn't unity doesn't We need to unify, but that does not mean we need to compromise. That a lot of people get that confused. Um, that doesn't mean we have to compromise our values together than we are when we're fighting or we're taking up for this person that maybe our donor also donates to, and protecting them. Let's remember why we're all here. Look at your kids. Think of them. What do you want to what do you want to be remembered for? And how you handle the situation. So that off the top of my head, that's that's what I see. That Rule 44, a heck of a. Other than that, I'm all ears all the time. My phone number is always on my website, um, and reach out anytime. I'm here. I'm the true grassroots candidate. I'm not backed I'm not backed by any major PACs or what have you either. So
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Alexandra, for being with us this evening. I know you had a few issues, technical issues there, but you were a trooper and you kept trying.
I'm
So thank you for
sorry.
that. Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. You kept
I'm
trying,
so sorry.
and
I'm
that's what
sorry.
counts. Okay, well, thank you
I'm
so
sorry.
much. We appreciate your time.
That's right.